Well, hello there, motherfuckers. And this story coming out of WrestleMania has got me laughing. It's really funny because I've talked a lot about on this channel about my dislike for Sasha Banks. I thought that this girl had some promise when I first saw her in WWE. But, of course, then I saw the girl's attitude, the fact that she did the resting bitch face and, fans' photos, they would come up to her in public, when they would see her outside of an arena. I understand that the current crop of fans could be annoying, they could be childish, but Sasha Banks showed that she's no better than them when she was outright rude to a lot of them. And I guess you could probably say that I wasn't there personally, so I don't know what her true reaction was. But then again, you look at the photos and you see like every single time, all the different stories coming out about her. And you could be like, okay, maybe the dirt sheets are cherry picking, but this kind of, I don't know. I kind of get a vibe. I kind of look at Sasha Banks and I just kind of know it's true. So sue me for that. But now, we saw it at Mania. I was a bit surprised that Sasha Banks and Bayley, lost the women's tag belts. I really was, after all that, the big Mania moment, you would think if they were going to put Sasha Banks over, her big comeback, that was probably where it was going to take place. So, but, out of all people, they give the titles to the Iconics. So, anyway, I want to talk a little bit about this story that's going on. And as you can see, I've got Wrestling Inc. opened here. And I was checking on some of the facts. I watched one of the Sean's View Entertainment videos about this. And I commented over there. And a lot of people were, coming at me, saying once again I didn't know what I was talking about. I said, this is so funny with Sasha Banks. She ended Paige's career. She's just really nasty to the fans, and there's been many examples where she just seems like she doesn't belong. But now I'm hearing this story, and let's just read a little bit. Let's just read some excerpts from the article. Sasha Banks felt blindsided by the decision to put the WWE Women's Tag Team titles on the Iconics and reportedly tried to quit the company. Please do. I mean, there's some talk. I don't know if she ever said that she wanted to go to AEW, but that's kind of what's inferred by this. Obviously she could go to TNA or go to the Indies. It was noted that she expected to have a strong run with Bayley and the titles. That's probably what I was expecting. I don't know about strong run. The champions always lose. But Banks was given time to think everything over before making a decision. So I think I read somewhere else that she's been told to take some time off, to think it over, not to make a hasty decision. Ryan Sadden of Pro Wrestling Sheet took to Twitter today and reported that Banks and Bayley were laying on the floor of the locker room at MetLife Stadium on Sunday, loudly making it known they were unhappy about dropping the titles. I understand, and it was also noted that they made a similar scene back at the WWE hotel. The WWE hotel? There's a WWE hotel? I don't know. But anyway, let's see. Heard from a few sources now saying Sasha Banks and Bayley were laying on the floor of the locker room one Sunday and back at the hotel in front of one of their rooms, loudly making it known they were unhappy about losing the tag titles. That is really funny. Like, that is just, it's so funny, like, ranting on them in Raw and SmackDown reviews, and then it all comes full circle, that they're, like, laying on the floor, like little children having a temper tantrum. I mean, that is just so ridiculous. Is there anything worth mentioning here? No. Okay, so, let's go on to the next story here that I wanted to share. Oh, this is where it came from. I have the story open here, and this is where they got the AEW thing. So this is from the Sportster. Sasha Banks unfollows WWE on Twitter. She's now following AEW. So, blah, blah, blah. They reiterate about, about them losing the titles. And this is what I wanted to, let's see. According to 411 Mania, several eagle-eyed fans have noted that the 27-year-old is no longer following WWE on Twitter. That's, like, who would even notice that? Like, who has time in their day-to-day lives to realize that who other people are following? And has started following AEW. The publication sought to verify this by going through her account and discovered that such is indeed the case. Stalker much? Banks isn't following WWE nor Vince McMahon on Twitter anymore, but she still follows WWE Network and WWE NXT. Now, that is just so, like, high schoolish, when you have to think about it. That's like so, and I know I'm technically one, that's so like millennial-ish, like, ooh, you made me lose the fake titles, so I'm gonna unfollow you on social media. That is really, really hilarious when you really think about it. The simple fact that Sasha Banks and Bayley were laying on the floor, not like at first I thought it actually was the first time I read the information, laying on the floor of the hotel room. I thought they meant like inside the hotel room. That would be weird enough, but they're laying outside, like in the hallways there. Like, so can you imagine like the maid is coming along, with that cart of like, laundry or food or whatever. Like they're just blocking the way, or is there like maybe other people, or other wrestlers like in the same like hotel wing, and they're walking through the hallway and they see two grown women laying on the floor like a bunch of children. Like, I get that it's supposed to be like they're unhappy, like, oh my God, like they're having like some type of breakdown, but have some self-control. We're talking about two women that I think maybe Sasha Banks is in her late 20s. I think Bayley's kind of like my age. I think she's like early 30s. Like, whatever the case may be, it doesn't even matter if you're 19 or 20. What are you doing laying on the floor, having a fucking mental breakdown? I mean, for like, we heard about Lars Sullivan, like, having an anxiety attack, and that's why he wasn't able to come to the WWE, but I didn't hear anything about laying on the floor, like, public scenes, like, I like, this is almost like some type of protest, and the fact that, like, Sasha Banks unfollowed Vince McMahon and WWE, like, what kind of a statement that is? Ooh, I'm gonna unfollow you, Like, that you really showed them. I mean, that's like, wow. That is so childish, immature, and it just shows a very like narrow worldview, a very like narrow way of thinking. It's very irrational. Like, you're going to unfollow your boss, and obviously this information is going to come out there. And nowadays it seems like McMahon is very much aware of what's on the dirt sheets. He seems very much aware of what Meltzer and Keller and everyone is asking of the product. So he's going to see this. If he didn't know that before, he's a very busy man, so he probably didn't notice who's following his Instagram account. But now, or Twitter account rather. And, and quite frankly, like I said before, I'm a little bit worried about the people who noticed that she was no longer following Vince McMahon. I mean, this is really, really like just, it's so telling of what today's wrestlers are like. I talked in the past about, think of wrestlers like Ken Shamrock and Hardcore Holly and even like Bill DeMott, this, like, okay, some of these people were, like, abusive and mean, but I'm saying, like, you had some soft sons of bitches back then. You would never see them, like, fretting over who they're following on Twitter or, like, making these displays. Like, this is, like, what we're pushing for here. Now, these might have not been the girls who were main eventing, but I'm just saying, like, we're pushing for these girls to have top spots on the roster, and they're supposed to be outclassing the men. They're upstaging the men. They're better than the men now. The men are not even good enough to be in the main event of fucking WrestleMania. In a form of entertainment that is predominantly men. So we're being told that, the 12, 13, or 14 or so women that are on the roster are superior. And then stories like this come out, and you kind of have to question, like, okay, the narrative really doesn't fit. Obviously, when you've got people acting like this is not very becoming of wrestlers who are supposed to be tough, vicious, ruthless, and, just tough people to do what they do. This sounds like two girls that, they kind of thought things were going to be easy on them. They expect a lot out of life. I mean, like, Sasha Banks is not good. She's very sloppy in the ring. She ended someone's career. I don't give a shit if Paige forgave her, or 1,000 smarks on the internet want to swarm around me and say that, all is forgiven, so it's okay, and, Paige knew about it beforehand. I don't give a shit. I really don't. How come this didn't happen years ago? How come, Shawn Michaels super kicked hundreds of people and not a single person got injured off of that move? But suddenly Sasha Banks is in the business for a few years and she's taking people's careers and livelihoods right out from under them. I mean, I'm sorry, but, forgive me if I'm not a fan of someone who ended someone else's career, okay? I mean, come on. So, the thing is, it's just, you sit here now, and you think about how sloppy she is, and then you also think about her ending someone else's career, and, I don't know, it just didn't even seem very apologetic. It was quickly forgotten about. She wasn't punished in any way. She's definitely not held in as high regard as she used to. Like, remember, it was her and Charlotte, and she was there at WrestleMania and like the first ever Hell in a Cell, and they were breaking new ground. She was the big star and everything. It is quite apparent that she's not where she used to be on the roster, and I'm thankful for that, and I think that that's well deserved. She definitely shouldn't be reaping all the benefits of when she's just not good. I'm sorry, and I understand that she's got a lot of fans, and she deserves to really have no fans at all. Especially, like, you read stories like this, like, the Smarks are reading these stories. And if you're still a fan of Sasha Banks after reading stories like this, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, wow, they're so awesome. I can't believe, like, some people are actually getting behind this. Like, oh yeah, she should go to AEW. Like, first of all, I say check yourself into a mental hospital. First of all, you should be talking to a psychiatrist or a psychologist or someone in mental health. I mean, that's not normal behavior. You lose a fake wrestling match and you're laying on the hotel floor. I mean, I don't know. I would assume she's probably crying or something like that. I mean, unfollowing your boss on social media and everything. It's just like, I don't know, it's very bizarre. But, I mean, this is just so telling. I mean, I tell her, I would say, go ahead, go to AEW, get the hell out of WWE, because it's quite apparent that she's not cut out for this. It's quite apparent that she doesn't deserve to have the fame. I'm not saying like the WWE, I hate the WWE. I think it's a horrible fucking company. I think they mistreat a lot of their talent. But in a case like this is just someone just, crossing the line here. I mean, you'd see like someone like Bray Wyatt or the Hardy Boys who are just, or Jinder Mahal, who are being greatly mistreated by the WWE. But you see, Jinder Mahal's positive. He gets on his Instagram. He's not unfollowing people on Twitter or Instagram. He's working out. He's positive. He's jobbing out on TV. But, the thing is, it's like he's not there to like make these statements or protest. You don't see him fucking laying on the floor of a hotel, causing a whole big scene. I'm just saying, this for me, you know, I think it's just hilarious, and it's really not even that funny when you think about it, because it's more sad. But I think it's just a little bit funny to me that I kind of called this a long time ago. I said that Sasha didn't belong. I said that Sasha doesn't deserve to be there. And you think about Eddie Guerrero, who she looks up to. And I'm like, why does she even look up to Eddie Guerrero? She's nothing like Eddie Guerrero. You think that maybe she'd try to emulate Eddie Guerrero by having some, you know, what was Eddie Guerrero known for besides his wrestling ability? His fucking charisma. He was one of the most charismatic wrestlers that there ever was. I mean, that's a guy that, you know, after The Rock and Stone Cold were no longer there, he picked up the slack. You know, everybody remembers Eddie Guerrero doing that little jig in the ring, the accent, all the catchphrases and everything, the great heel run that he had. I mean, you know, you just think back to all those great moments. Besides doing the frog splash and wearing his wrestling tights, Sasha Banks has not learned anything from a legend like Eddie Guerrero. Eddie Guerrero would not be laying on the hotel floor, making a fucking protest, a little, you know, having a temper tantrum. You know, that's not what Eddie Guerrero would do. He had some self-respect for himself. He had pride. He carried himself like a true champion, like a true superstar, like a true celebrity, like a wrestler. You know, Sasha Banks, like, I don't know what she expects out of professional wrestling in the WWE. I mean, you know, she expected to be waited on hand and foot. Does she expect to have the WWE, you know, bend to her will? I mean, first of all, you know, I understand this is a shitty company, but, you know, Sasha Banks, she's lucky to even be there. She's lucky to even have a job in WWE. I mean, based off of the performance she's had and the mishaps in the ring, I mean, she botches every match. And for the fans, you know, Smarks, who predominantly watch Botchamania, and I like Botchamania too, but, you know, they criticize everyone's, you know, moves in the ring and everything, and they're all about, you know, the stars and the crispness of moves in the ring. You know, like, how is Sasha Banks even considered a good wrestler among the Smarks when she's sloppy as fuck and she blows 1,000 spots? You know, I mean, my God. I mean, you count at WrestleMania how many spots that she blew there or made moves look terrible. I just don't understand how this type of thing is judged. You know, but there you go, guys. I mean, I guess I would think that she probably is going to quit. I think it was a long time coming. You kind of see that her stock was, you know, just falling down, and it didn't look like it was going to be elevating anytime soon. This kind of just seems like this was the final straw for her. You know, those tag titles are a joke anyway. I mean, I don't even understand how you could be upset about losing titles like that are fucking meaningless anyway. But, you know, regardless, you know, go to AEW, go work for Cody Rhodes. As someone had said on Facebook, you know, go job out to Brandy Rhodes, you know, whatever, guys. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed the video. Please subscribe if you did and leave a thumbs up and a comment down below and let me know what you think about Sasha Banks. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people saying, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Sasha Banks is awesome. I'm just saying, you just explain these actions. You explain laying on the floor of a hotel room to me. I mean, to me, that's more of, hey, ho, type of stuff. You know, but if you got a good explanation for it, if you could psychoanalyze such irrational behavior, go right ahead. And guys, this has been your YWC champ, and I'm signing out.